The rain poured softly over the green rice fields, blurring the line between the earth and the sky. In that misty light of dawn, Diep stood by the small wooden bridge, holding a basket of morning vegetables. The air smelled of wet soil and fresh leaves, carrying the kind of peace that only the countryside could give. She didn't know that her life was about to change forever that day when a city man in a white shirt and tired eyes stopped his car near the field. James stepped out, brushing raindrops off his sleeves. He wasn't supposed to be there. His GPS had failed, leading him off the highway into the small, forgotten village. He was the CEO of a big agricultural company, chasing projects worth millions. Yet in that moment, he was just a lost man, standing before a girl whose calm smile somehow melted away his exhaustion. "Are you lost, sir?" Diep asked gently, her voice soft as the falling rain. James chuckled. "Maybe a little, but it's a beautiful place to be lost." That was how it began, two worlds meeting at the wrong place but the right time. He came from a world of business suits and boardrooms, while she belonged to the scent of earth and the rhythm of harvests. And yet, every time he visited the village for his project, he found himself looking for her again.
They started talking about everything, about dreams, about simple happiness, about how the city lights could never shine as warmly as the lanterns in her small house. James, who once only saw life as numbers and contracts, found himself enchanted by the way Diep found joy in ordinary days. When James's company faced pressure from investors, he began to lose control of his time. Meetings stretched into the night, deals demanded his soul. Still, whenever he closed his eyes, it was Diep's laughter that echoed in his mind, the sound of peace in a world too loud. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, James took Diep's hand. "When everything is ready, when I have built the life I promised you, I will come back for you. I'll marry you, Diep. That's my promise." Diep looked at him, her eyes full of both faith and fear. "Just don't let time make you forget," she whispered. He smiled, touching her cheek. Time will never win against love. But as the months turned into years, time became their greatest test. James drove away that night, his heart heavy with dreams and determination. Diep stood by the bridge where they first met, the wind tangling her hair, her heart whispering prayers into the night. She didn't know how long she would have to wait. She only knew that love was worth it, even if time was cruel. And as the rain began to fall again, softly and endlessly, the question lingered in the air: would love truly survive the test of time?
The city lights swallowed James whole. Every street was alive with noise, horns blaring, phones ringing, meetings never ending. Months passed, then years, and the world of business pulled him in like a tide.
He tried to keep his promise. Every night, before closing his eyes, he would look at the photo of Diep that he kept in his wallet, her standing in the rice field, the wind in her hair, her smile brighter than the sun. It reminded him of who he was when life still felt simple, before ambition began to crush his heart. But success demanded sacrifices. The company he had once built from dreams was now teetering under pressure. Investors grew impatient, contracts fell apart, and the betrayal of an old partner, John, threatened everything he had worked for. James spent sleepless nights in his office, chasing solutions, drowning in decisions that never seemed right. "Love can wait," he told himself. "I'll come back to Diep when this is over, when I fix everything." Yet every win became another month, another season gone. He wrote her letters that he never sent, words that felt too small for all the longing he carried. Meanwhile, in the countryside, Diep continued her quiet life. Each morning she rose before dawn, tended the fields, and took her daughter, little Nee, to school. The seasons came and went, marking time with the rhythm of harvests. Sometimes, when the evening wind swept through the small house, she would take out the wooden box James had given her. Inside was a letter and a silver ring. He had promised to return with another ring, a wedding one. She would touch it gently, then smile to herself. "Maybe tomorrow," she whispered. But tomorrow never came. Neighbors often asked, "Diep, that man from the city, is he coming back?" She would smile softly and answer, "He will, he promised. Her heart still believed him, but her eyes began to carry the quiet ache of waiting too long. One evening, while watering the garden, she looked up and saw the sunset, the same deep orange James had once loved. It made her chest tighten. "If you're looking at the same sky," she murmured, "then maybe you still remember me." Back in the city, James sat in his car, staring at that same sunset reflected in the glass buildings. His phone buzzed with another call, another deal, another meeting. But for the first time in months, he ignored it. He closed his eyes and saw Diep's face, her voice, her warmth. He whispered to himself, "If love is real, then time can't erase it." But deep down, he was afraid. Because love wasn't the only thing changing, he was changing too. The man who had once promised to return was now someone else entirely, molded by ambition, regret, and loss. And far away, under the same sky, Diep still waited, holding on to the memory of a promise made under the fading light of a countryside sunset. Time was still moving, and neither of them knew if love could keep up. The autumn wind carried a strange sadness when James finally decided to return. After 5 long years of silence, he packed a single suitcase, turned off his phone, and drove back toward the countryside, the place where everything began. The road was still the same, long, winding, lined with golden rice fields, waving like whispers of the past. But James wasn't the same man anymore. His hair was darker, his face sharper, and his heart, though heavy with regret, beat with a strange, quiet hope. "I'll find her," he said to himself, "and this time, I'll make things right." When he reached the old village, memories came flooding back. The small wooden bridge where he once waited for Diep with flowers. The market where she used to sell vegetables and laugh with the other women. Every corner held a story, and every story held her name. But as he walked to her old house, his heart froze. The house was still there, but the garden looked different, more mature, more alive. The gate was freshly painted, and children's laughter echoed from inside. A little girl ran out, her hair tied in 2 ponytails, her smile radiant. She stopped and looked at him with curious eyes. James knelt down, his voice trembling. "What's your name, little one?" The girl tilted her head and smiled. "I'm Nee, and you are?" His throat tightened. He had seen that smile before, in Diep's eyes. He swallowed hard. "I'm an old friend of your mother." Before he could say more, Diep stepped out of the doorway. Time had softened her face, but deepened her beauty, her eyes still gentle, her posture strong. For a moment, neither spoke. The years of distance seemed to melt into the silence between them. "James," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. He took a step forward. "Diep, I came back." Her eyes glistened, but she didn't smile. "You promised to come back a long time ago." "I know," he said softly. "And I broke that promise. I thought I could fix my life first, the company, the debts, everything before returning to you. But in trying to fix everything, I lost the only thing that truly mattered." She looked down at her hands. The ring he had given her still hung on a chain around her neck. "You didn't lose it, James. You just left it waiting too long." Nee ran to her mother and hugged her leg. "Mama, who is he?" Diep hesitated, her heart trembling between the past and the present. "He's someone who once meant a lot to me." James's voice cracked. "I didn't know about her." "About Nee?" Diep nodded slowly. "I didn't tell you. You had your life in the city. I didn't want to hold you back. I raised her alone. She's my reason for everything now." James felt the air leave his chest. A mixture of pride, love, and regret swirled inside him. "Diep, I left everything, the company, the city, to come back to you both. I don't care about money anymore. I just want to start over. If you'll let me." For a moment, the only sound was the rustle of the trees and the distant laughter of children. Diep looked at him, really looked at him, and saw a man worn by time, humbled by loss, but still carrying the same sincerity that once made her fall in love.
"James," she said softly, "you can't undo time. You can only live what's left of it. If you truly want to stay, then stay, not with promises, but with actions. He nodded, eyes wet. Then I'll stay. I'll prove that this time I'm not leaving. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the three of them stood together, the past, the present, and the fragile beginning of a future. But even as the night fell, a quiet question lingered in Diep's heart. Could love, once broken by time, ever truly heal again? The days that followed were quiet, almost too quiet for James. Gone were the constant phone calls, the flashing city lights, and the endless board meetings. Now his mornings began with the sound of roosters, the smell of wet earth, and Nee's laughter echoing across the yard.
He learned to fix fences, feed chickens, and water the small garden Diep had tended for years. At first, his hands were clumsy, his clothes dirty, and his back sore. But every evening when he saw Diep sitting by the porch, smiling faintly as the sunset brushed her face, he knew it was worth it. For the first time in years, James felt peace. Still, there were moments when the silence spoke louder than words, when he would catch Diep staring out the window, lost in thought, or when she hesitated to call his name. The wound of waiting could not heal overnight. One evening, while they were having dinner together, James broke the silence. "Diep," he said softly, "I've been thinking. I want to build something here, not a company like before, but a small business, something for us, for the future." Diep looked at him curiously. "What kind of business?" "A farm," he said with quiet conviction. "Organic crops, fruit, and herbs. We can sell them at the market, or even export later. It's small now, but it's real just like us." Her eyes softened. "You really think we can do that?"
James smiled, his old confidence shining through again. "We've both started from nothing before. This time, we'll do it together." And so they did. Days turned into months. Their small piece of land slowly transformed rows of vegetables, fruit trees, and flowers replacing the old patches of dry soil. James handled the planning and logistics, while Diep took care of the planting and sales. Nee, cheerful as ever, helped water the plants and feed their dog, Don, who had become part of the family. Their teamwork grew stronger with each passing day. The farm began earning enough for them to live comfortably, and for the first time, laughter filled their home again. Not the laughter of fleeting joy, but of steady, quiet happiness. One evening, under the soft golden glow of the setting sun, James walked up to Diep as she was tending the garden. He held a small box in his hand. "Diep," he said gently, "5 years ago, I made you a promise I couldn't keep. I don't expect you to forget that. But today, I want to make a new one, not just with words, but with the life we've built together." He opened the box, revealing a simple silver ring, not grand, not expensive, but shining with sincerity. "Will you marry me? Not the man I used to be, but the one who stands before you now." Diep looked at him, her eyes glimmering with emotion. She didn't speak for a moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. "Yes, James," she whispered, "because this time, I know you're not just making a promise. You're living it." Nee ran up, giggling, as James slipped the ring on Diep's finger. The three of them stood there, hand in hand, heart to heart, as the evening breeze swept through the fields, carrying with it the scent of new beginnings. The village lights twinkled in the distance, and for the first time in a long time, James realized that home wasn't a mansion or a company. Home was here, in the laughter of a child, in the gentle eyes of the woman who waited for him, and in the love that had survived the test of time.